Welcome to GCC Collective, where we speak with global leaders shaping the future of the global capability centers from inside out. I'm Simran Shivalkar, your host for today, and today I'm joined by Mr. Sushant Bhushan, a global leader in data analytics and AI, also someone who has played a pivotal role in scaling and transforming GCCs to deliver both operational excellence along with strategic value. In his dual role at Circle K, Sushant leads the India GCC while also spearheading the global data and AI initiatives. He's not just running a center, he's also shaping how it thinks, scales, and drives impact across the enterprise. From building high performing teams to embedding AI into the core of decision making, Sushant's journey is a fascinating lens into what GCCs today are truly capable of when empowered with vision, velocity, and the right culture. I'm more than excited to lead this conversation with him today, so without any further ado, let's begin. Firstly, Sushant, thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of the series.
Thank you, Simran, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Firstly, Sushant, let's start from the beginning. You have spent years building and transforming GCCs across different industries. Now, when you look back, what have been some of the key turning points for you personally and for the way these centers have evolved throughout the years? If you can share that with us today.
No, thank you for the question and thank you for having me, like I said. And if I reflect back on my journey across industries and geography, I'll say there has been a few pivotal turning points, both personally and structure, in the way GCCs have evolved. On a personal level, one key turning point was moving from delivery mindset to a value creation mindset. Early on, GCCs were often seen as cost centers on efficiency and scale, but over time, I realized and I championed the shift towards being strategic partner who co-create value with a business. That required a new leadership approach, building talent with global acumen, fostering experimentation, and nurturing a culture of ownership. From industry perspective, the evolution of GCCs has mirrored global business priorities. Initially, it was all about labor arbitrage and operational excellence, but the game has changed with the digital transformation.
Right.
GCC began to own end-to-end capabilities, incubate innovation, and even influence product and customer experience strategy. Another major inflection point was during the pandemic. So you often see me talking about this a lot in various forums and in various interviews because I felt that it challenged the legacy operating model and proved that GCC could be agile, resilient, and deeply integrated with the organization goals. Looking back, what stood out is how GCC has gone from being helper at the periphery to enabler and innovator at the core. And personally, being part of that shift, empowering teams, building global trust, and delivering impact beyond cost has been incredibly fulfilling for me.
Wonderful. Sushant, along these lines, you highlighted that this picked up during pandemic, especially during lockdown, when there was ample of need to take the kind of help that was needed, especially when we talk about India today and the kind of workforce that we have. Do you think that shift happened gradually, right from execution to ownership, or was there a moment where things just suddenly geared up? What has been your take on this? How do you look at it?
So yeah, in my experience, the shift from execution to ownership has been more of a gradual evolution than a single click movement. But there has been definitely key catalysts that accelerated the change. Early on, GCCs were primarily focused on process execution and cost efficiencies, like I said before.
Correct.
But as global organization starts to recognize the talent depth and innovation potential in these GCCs or these centers, the responsibility began exponentially and they expanded organically now. So first, the expansion started with analytics, then into digital, and eventually into the full accountability of the outcome. That were the inflection points. For example, I have seen a noticeable shift when a GCC leader is given as a strategy table, or when a business unit entrusts a center with owning an entire product lifecycle or customer journey.
Right.
And of course, the pandemic, like I said, was a forcing function. It
Right.
tested traditional model and proved GCCs could lead, not just support. That was a major credibility boost, in my opinion. So
Right.
while the journey has been progressive, there has been certain movements that did act as an accelerators, where confidence, capability, and opportunity aligned to take things to a new gear, I would say.
Fantastic. I think That kind of brings me to my next question, Sushant. From what I have known so far, or from what we have observed, a lot has been said about the changing roles of, GCCs in India. They are no longer just delivery hubs. They have become more than, kind of solution or service providers. They are now kind of seen as centers for data, innovation, as well as kind of decision making is also involved. You have also been in this space for a long period of time. How do you see that shift playing out at organization like yours at Circle K? What kind of mindset change is required, perhaps globally as well as locally?
Absolutely. The role of India's GCC has undergone a significant transformation. So our journey has been slightly different than a traditional GCC. Here we started our office with high-end and niche skills like data science, data analytics, etc. We were
Okay.
not just supporting the business, we were shaping it. The India GCC in Circle K is increasingly becoming a hub for innovation, data-driven insight, and capabilities building across global functions. We are owning end-to-end processes, embedding analytics into day-to-day decisions, and experimenting with the new technologies that could be scaled globally. For example, whether it's optimizing supply chain operations or enhancing customer experience at the store level, the work being done here is not back office, it's business critical. But to enable that, the mindset has to shift, like you said, so both globally and locally. So globally, it means trusting the GCC not just as an efficient arm, but as a partner. That requires openness to bottom-up innovation and distributed leadership. Locally, it meant moving from a task-based approach to an outcome-focused, value-driven mindset. We had to build teams that thinks like business owners, not just process executioners. At Circle K, we have put a lot of efforts and a lot of focus on creating that culture where team feels empowered to take initiatives, challenge the status quo, and create impact beyond what's asked. That's what turning, I would say, the real GCC of ours into a true nerve center of the organization.
Absolutely. Along these lines, Sushant, I think today when we see we have about 2000 GCCs in India, or as predicted by 2030, the number is going to be, there is going to be a staggering growth with
Yep.
over 100 billion plus dollars in value and nearly 3 million professionals backing them up. With that kind of growth, there is also an added pressure to do something beyond, what's expected, to move faster and keep evolving. From what has been some of the top of the mind, what has been some of the key priorities today for organizations who are kind of, giving the business, and also for leaders who are delivering it from India level? What tensions are you navigating while, scaling up, delivering that kind of impact?
So growth of the GCC ecosystem in India is truly remarkable, and it's the moment of both opportunity and responsibility, in my opinion. As a GCC leader, what's been top of mind for me always is ensuring that scale doesn't dilute impact. There's
Right.
a the natural pressure to grow fast, but the real question is, are we growing meaningfully? Are we creating value that matters to the organization and experience that matters to the people, and that to our people? One key tension I constantly navigate is between speed and depth. The business wants velocity, and rightly so. But in our rush to scale, we can't afford to lose our quality, culture, and purpose. We are very intentional at Circle about not being and becoming a big center, but a better one. More aligned to strategy, more proactive in innovation, and more integrated with the global team. Talent is another critical area, in my opinion. With GCC booming, I always believe that we all are fishing from the same pond, right? And the expectation from talent has evolved. People want to do meaningful work, grow fast, and feel empowered. So we are investing heavily in building internal capabilities, letting people define their career path, and creating a culture of ownership and experimentation. Ultimately, for me, it's about balancing three things: deliberating today's outcome flawlessly, building tomorrow's capability proactively, and doing it all in a way that energizes and retains great talent. That's the real unlock for a long term strategic impact.
Absolutely. And I think when we talk about India, there's a common conception that we have been, hearing and reading a lot, that India has the talent. But truly speaking, from a leader's perspective, I truly want to know from your experience what actually takes to turn that kind of talent, or, to build that kind of ownership and real capabilities. How has it been as a process, and, in terms of execution as well?
So I think if I talk about the team, so I think that's something which I'm deeply passionate about. For me, building high performance and a cross functional team starts with creating a culture of trust, clarity, and purpose. People thrive when they know the why behind the work, when they feel safe and to challenge ideas, and when they are trusted to lead, not just to follow the instruction. At Circle K India, we started our journey from the scratch just 3 years ago. One of the early priorities to move beyond just hiring or skill, we focus on mindset. We focus on curiosity and collaborative energy. We embedded our cross-functional squad from day one, which combined tech, analytics, finance, ops to solve all those real business problems. There are a lot of great examples I can talk about where our teams reimagine how we work, how we operate using advanced analytics and data analytics or data science for that matter. They didn't wait for global direction. They partnered with right stakeholders where they tested locally, iterated fast, failed fast in my opinion, and co-created a solution that's now being scaled globally. That's the kind of ownership doesn't happen by chance. It's built through a clarity of a purpose, autonomy, and continuous engagement to ask why not. And we always promote a speak up culture where joiners could challenge seniors, juniors or the new joiners could challenge the seniors, and I would say the new joiners could lead pilot. The cultural permission to think, question, and experiment made a big difference. I take pride in saying that we have a no door open policy in Circle K, where anybody can reach out to anyone. And you will be surprised there is no concept of cave in. Everyone is treated in the same and a friendly manner where we sit together as one team.
Absolutely. I think we have seen when we talk about the kind of, global capability centers being set up in India, commonly we observe the US market, the UK, the Australia. I think slowly Asian countries are also making a move. What excites you most when we talk about where GCC is heading next? What countries do you think, or globally, what industries would want to invest in that kind of talent when we talk about Indian workforce?
I think it's not just about a specific industry or a specific reason. In my opinion, if
Right.
you ask me from that
Right.
perspective, I feel that we are at that stage where we can co create and we can lead global initiatives.
Correct.
So that's something which can be done. So be it agnostic of an industry or a region, I think, as you said, we have a lot of attraction is happening with North American countries right now, where a lot of retailer and different manufacturers setting up their GCCs. And recently we heard about one of the big alcohol retailer and one of the big food giant. They set up their GCC in India with
Right.
5,000 plus headcount. So these are big GCCs and they have made the news all around. And I think a lot will happen. And I believe now the scale of GCCs won't be that big because we are moving from that mindset where GCCs will not be measured by the number of people working in a GCC. And I've already started bringing that change. If somebody asks me that how big is your GCC, the next follow-up question I ask that particular individual is how do you measure
Yeah.
the
What
big or the
metrics do you
size? Is
go
it
by?
by the value? Is it by the value driven by the individual, or what exactly is the KPI you are sort of referring to? So that's
Right.
one thing. I think it's bringing a lot of mindset shift that GCCs are no longer be measured by number of people working in GCC because that's the traditional way of measuring GCCs. But now, for example, if I have 5 people and they are delivering X million USD, so how do you say it? 100 people not delivering a million and 5 people delivering some X million of a USD value, whether it's top line or bottom line. So what is big in your opinion? Is it the value or the number of people? So ultimately, the reason was the cost or the labor arbitrage that was there in the previous year, which has now diluting. And we can't say that India GCC market is just dependent purely on labor arbitrage or the cost
Correct.
arbitrage. So we are not just focusing on the operational excellency. We are striving and we are thriving to ensure that how can we generate more revenue and how can we impact the top line.
On those lines, Sushant, especially now when the spotlight has been shifted from just cost advantage to
Yep.
value creation, what's one negotiable, that you think defines the GCC leadership?
I think it's like I said, what excites me most is that we are at a tipping point where these, like I said, is are no longer just responding to the organization needs. They are
Correct.
actually shaping them. We are seeing center take the lead on innovation, customer experience, and even model transformation. The next chapter for this ecosystem, in my view, is about GCC becoming a true global capability ecosystem, not just confined to one geography, function, or label, but operating as an agile, strategic extension of the business. So we are already seeing this. Teams are not just executing, they are imagining what's next, be it AI-powered operation, predictive retail analytics, or rethink how convenience store engage with digital customer. This is stepping into the role of proactive value creator, not just a support engine. That shift is only going to accelerate. If I had to leave a principle for new leader in this space, like you asked, so it would be act like an owner, think like a customer, and lead like a coach. So ownership always fuels accountability. Customer empathy ensures you are bringing that relevance, and coaching empowers team to stretch beyond job description. GCCs of the future won't succeed through scale alone. they'll succeed through leadership that unlocks potential at every level.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that pretty much sums up the next ecosystem for GCC, the upcoming GCC leaders when we talk about, scaling and driving impact at the same time. Thank you so much, Sushant, for sharing your insights with us today and making this conversation really candid. Once again, while we wrap up, I look forward to connect with you again, perhaps on a different theme centered around the up and coming GCCs. But thank you so much once again.
No worries, Simran. Nice to be part of this interview and this discussion, really engaging one. Thank you.
Thank you so much.